This morning I'm going to read a little bit of John's Gospel. And I want you to know that I'm set up here by the river on purpose, not just because the river's beautiful, but also because there's a crop duster flying behind me. And so hopefully we'll catch him in the shot. This is a reading from the 6th chapter of John's Gospel. So the crowd said to Jesus, "What sign are you going to give us then, so that we may see it and believe in you? What work are you performing?" "Our ancestors ate the manna in the wilderness, as it is written, 'He gave them bread from heaven to eat.'" Then Jesus said to them, "Very truly I tell you, it was not Moses who gave you the bread from heaven, but it is my Father who gives you the true bread from heaven. For the bread of God is that which comes down from heaven and gives life to the world." They said to him, "Sir, give us this bread always." Jesus said to them, "I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never be hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty." I am the bread of life, Jesus says. I am the bread which comes down from heaven to give life for the world, just like manna came down from heaven to feed the people of Israel as they wandered through the wilderness. I am the bread of life that comes down to give life. I've been thinking a lot this week, and really last week as well, about this coming departure. A mentor of mine has taught me that the way you say goodbye as a pastor and the way that you say goodbye as a congregation is to say clearly why you're leaving. And of course I'm leaving because I'm going to take a new position at Sewanee as the university chaplain there. And then my mentor told me the two things you need to do, make time for as a pastor and as a congregation, are to find times to say thank you and express gratitude in specific ways, and also find time and places to express grief and regret. Those two things are both important parts of our experience whenever we say goodbye to anyone or to any job or to anything. And they are important to me, and I think to us as a church family, as we close out this season of ministry. So over the next 4 or 5 videos, which is all I've got left, if I'm doing 2 per week in addition to worship, in the next 4 or 5 videos, what I'm going to be doing is taking time to express the regrets and the griefs that I have about this moment, about our years of ministry together, and to give thanks and to express my gratitude for these seasons of ministry together. This is some of the work that the vestry and I did way back on, I think it was March the 2nd. So the announcement of my new position at Sewanee happened on February the 28th, and I had these great plans laid up for how we would say goodbye. And in that first vestry meeting, we had an opportunity, first for me to share, and then other vestry members to share their griefs and their celebrations. Well, that has been the only occasion in person that we have had to do this work. And I absolutely hate that. One of my great sorrows, really, is that after all of the years of good ministry that we've had together and all of the careful tending to relationship that we have done together, that the best ways of saying goodbye are not available to us. I grieve that. Just as I grieve not being able to give folks hugs in this moment. Because that's, of course, what many of us would want to do. Not everybody, but many of us. And yet, in the craziness of this moment, there are also things to celebrate about this transition. I give thanks for the fact that even in a crazy situation, because it's so crazy, I've had more time and more occasion to reach out to folks directly, especially in those first few weeks. I would spend many of the afternoons that I had available, if the kids weren't directly underfoot, just walking back and forth in the driveway, reaching out to folks one by one, or at least family by family. And those phone calls gave me an opportunity to tell folks that I care about them, for folks to share with me their own regrets and celebrations. And so even in the midst of a situation that I'd never would have wished to leave from, there's been goodness, and for that I am thankful. Which brings me to one more grief, I think. If I were planning it, of course, never would I have chosen to leave Nativity in a moment of crisis. Now we're getting our feet under us and we're figuring out how to stream worship and all that. But I grieve it, and I hope you'll forgive me and understand. Which leads me to another piece of gratitude, which is that the wonderful leadership whose praises I sang when announcing my departure are still in place. I am so grateful that in the midst of this strange moment, Barry White's is taking on the mantle of leadership with his calm, steady, thoughtful presence. I am grateful that Landy Muhammad is the director of our day school as we figure out how and when to open the day school back up. I am grateful for the excellent vestry that is working already to figure out what comes next for Nativity, not just in the near term, but in the long term. That gives me peace, and I hope it gives you peace too. All right. That's a little bit of grief and a little bit of celebration, and I'll try to do a little bit more in subsequent videos. But before I finish today, I want to invite you, if you need it, to schedule some time with me. Now, I can't sit down, I don't think it's appropriate to sit down in your home and have a pastoral visit face to face in quite the same way as we perhaps would have months ago. But if you'd like to schedule some time with me, I'd love to visit with you in your driveway, or on your patio, or on the sidewalk, keeping distance from one another, of course. But since it seems like we're not going to be back together, in fact, I'm certain we're not going to be back together on Sunday morning before I depart, if you'd like to find some time, please call me, text me, email me, and I will schedule that time. or if you just want to talk some more, you've got my phone number. Let's find time. There'll be more information coming out at the end of this week about how we're going to do this transition. It looks like my last day as your rector will be the 13th of May. That's a Wednesday. Until then, I'll continue to pray with you. I'll continue to lead worship on Sundays. I'll continue to record godly play. Friends, I love you. Stay safe. Be well. Wash your hands.